Hey guys, it's Goldvic. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about a video game called Dark Souls. Dark Souls has a lot of problems and obstacles that you have to learn how to overcome. And by the time you finally make it back around the map, you meet. And after you're done getting much needed upgrades and doing trade transactions through him, he tells you a certain line.
Be safe, friend. Don't you dare go hollow.
Something me and my friends have taken a liking to saying to each other every time we part ways lately. In my opinion, Dark Souls to me is really similar to depression. And most people give up after a short while of playing it. They get stuck on the Bell Gargoyles or the Capra Demon and they just call it quits. But in my opinion, that's the entire antithesis of Dark Souls. It's about persevering and pushing through, even against your own wishes, thinking maybe I should give up, but not giving up, and getting through to the end, or at least just getting past that one next boss. Dark Souls is a game about not giving up. It's a game about looking at scary ass monsters in the face and simply saying, "No, you." Maybe that was probably stupid, but I guess we'll figure it out.
That was pretty funny.
Oh no, I dropped my mechanical pencil. When I was a kid, there was no way I could have beaten Dark Souls. Probably because it wasn't out yet. But when it came out, it was 2011, and at that time I was 15 years old, a sophomore in high school. And during that time, God of War 3 had just came out, and even that game was kind of hard for me. At least the bosses were. And it really wasn't until I was 18 that I began to get good at gaming. But not Dark Souls. I didn't play that game until like last year. And now we're going to seamlessly transition into the next part of this video. Well, the next topic of this video. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time came out in 1998, and at that time I was 3 years old. And it's no surprise to say that I sucked ass, or should I say nip, at video games. I don't even think I could play video. I think it was when I was like 5. My dad actually bought a Nintendo 64, and I would hijack it every time I went over to his house for the weekends, or every other week. You know, divorced parents and all that jazz.
You like jazz?
And why am I talking about Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, you might be asking yourself. And to that I would say, shut up. It's my YouTube video, not yours. I'll make the rules here. Now that we got that out of the way, when I was around 6 or 7, I really had no idea how to play any of the Nintendo 64 games. My dad had bought for himself. We're talking Banjo-Kazooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Blitz, Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong 64, James Bond GoldenEye, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Mario 64. What else is there? Let me look at my notes. I wonder if you can see the sweat pores on my face while I'm doing this. Anyways, I'm probably missing a few, but you get the idea. There was a lot of games, and I had no idea how to play any of them at all. I would just get to the first level and then have my dad, pull the, "Dad, can you come help me with this?" And then my dad would have to get past certain areas for me, and then I would die, not know that we needed memory cards to plug into the controller and have to start the whole game over again the next time I wanted to play the Nintendo 64. You get the idea. It wasn't very fun, but it was an introductory and much needed lesson that I needed to get into gaming, essentially. Like, if it wasn't for those times, I would have no idea how to play games when I started playing games, when I was able to consciously understand what the fuck was going on. And at the time, my dad was a union plumber, so he just was about to get his journeyman's license, so he was rolling in cash. So whenever we would get to go over to his house for the weekends, it wasn't often. It's really sad. Please leave a like and comment for divorced kids. But we would go over to his house, and I would just be rolling in Nintendo 64 games. It was the best time of my life. Even though I was a stupid kid that had no idea how to play any of them, it was still fun nonetheless. So, as you can imagine, my father's Nintendo 64 eventually became mine, and I was the ruler of all of Hyrule. Well, not really all of Hyrule, just like the initial starting area, the Kokiri Forest, or village, or whatever the fuck. And like I said before, when I was a kid and I would play Legend of Zelda, I would just run around, essentially getting past a few bosses here and there, but never really making it further than, like, the initial starting area. And the whole point of bringing this up is just like real life, some things you're just not experienced enough to get past. You're just not experienced enough to get past certain challenges in life, and so you have to shelf it and come back to it later, just like how I had to do with Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. This is going to be a mouthful saying that entire title over and over and over again throughout this video, but I digress. And like I said earlier, that happened to be the case with most games that I was playing or the games that I had at that time. I would just hit a wall and I would switch to a different game. And especially Ocarina of Time, that game was really hard, and it still is hard, and for most people to get past nowadays, it's still a tough game. There's so much to do and there's so much in that game, and you don't know what you're supposed to be doing unless you've already beat it before or unless you've read a strategy guide online. And some of those games were really hard for me to play as a kid, let alone beat, especially Ocarina of Time. I didn't even know that Link grew up in that game. I had no idea that that actually happened. But hey, I mean, this was back in the day when people thought that Link's name was Zelda, so that's kind of saying something, you know? Just like Ocarina, there are many areas that are completely out of reach and inaccessible to lower levels in Dark Souls. So what do we do when we're low levels in Dark Souls and we want to get somewhere cool? Well, there's really only 3 options. A, try to fight anyways. You'll probably die though. B, Hail Mary sprint to where you're trying to go, or as I like to call it, New Game Plus sprinting. And C, find a hot mom to get past all the scary monsters for you, you little baby. No, Actually, C is come back later when you're a high enough level to actually do the things that you want to do. And just like in real life, some problems and decisions need to be prioritized properly. If a problem feels too out of reach or too unsolvable right now, I always know for me I can just shelf it and come back to it later when I know what the fuck I'm doing. Spoiler alert though, I never know what the fuck I'm doing. There's supposed to be a laugh track there, so I'll just add that in post. So what's my point, you might ask? Well, the point is that Dark Souls and Ocarina of Time actually have a lot in common. And no, not that common. These games are both incredibly depressing, and they're games about overcoming great adversities that the player character is not ready to overcome yet, but does anyways, just like real life. We're not ready to be born into this world, and we're not ready to face certain challenges and tasks that are thrown against us. But hey, I mean, you're dealt a hand of cards, and some people get dealt a shitty hand, and you just gotta roll with the punches and play your hand. And, you know, life's not like, you play your hand, but there's always another hand coming. A lot of people think that they only get one hand. No, you get 2, dummies. No, but really, in a game of poker, you play one hand, and if you lose one, it's not like you lost the entire game. You just lost that hand, so then you just wait for a new hand. That was a little tangent. I'm sorry I went on that, but I'm keeping it in, too. So, you're going to have to like it. Both games just dump you into this world of destruction, and all they ask of you is a tiny little favor of just saving the entire world. It's not that big of a deal. Just get out there and save the whole world. What are you, like 7? Go. You got it. Go. Don't come asking me questions. What are you asking me questions for? Just get out there and do it. Depression is no joke, and I should know. I have it. As I said before, these games, for me, link to depression and at least my dealings with depression, and it really is no joke. I really should know. I mean, I have it, I suffer from it, and sprinkle in a world that doesn't accept mental illness as an actual disease in a society that punishes men for showing feelings, and we find ourselves in a real pickle here.
I turned myself into a pickle, Morty!
So this seems like a good time as any to transition into the next chapter of this video, loss. Along with mental illness, inevitably comes the loss of some of the friends we made along the way that are fighting this battle with us. It's hard to watch those we hold dear to us lose their battles with their own demons. In fact, it's devastating. And throughout Dark Souls, as we start to progress through the story, we start to watch some of the friendly NPCs we've met along the way disappear. Some we see go completely insane, and some lose their battle against the odds that were stacked against them, just like in real life. And unfortunate to say that, like Dark Souls, Ocarina of Time shares some of the same despair that Dark Souls capitalizes on. By the time Link sleeps in the Temple of Time, upon waking, he quickly finds that the world around him has drastically changed. His mission was unsuccessful. Ganon has gained control of the Triforce and has been destroying Hyrule, plus reigning over it for the past 7 years. Upon awakening, he realizes that his childish quest was in vain, and now he must actually save the world from a much more evil and violent force. Nobody in the world seems to have the same joy and cadence they had before. Where in the early game, most people would politely inquire about the little fairy boy, and now you're met with hostility and violent questioning. And after awakening, the town square that was once before filled with music, dancing, laughter is now filled with dread. Not that dread. And these weird little formless void-like creatures. And I might add that it is kind of a weird coincidence that these creatures are uncannily similar to the hollow and devoid of life soldiers, or beings, whatever they are, the hollows, that we run into all throughout Dark Souls. Another thing that Dark Souls and Ocarina have in common is the whole going hollow, but that I talked about earlier. In the end of Ocarina, the fairy that is with Link the entire game, Navi, leaves Link once his task is complete, essentially leaving Link completely homeless, since in order to enter back into Kokiri Forest, one must have a fairy, therefore dooming Link into becoming a hopeless drifter for the rest of his days. Also, I'm not really doing this topic too much justice. If you really are interested in the topic of learning more about the writing and absolute genius behind Ocarina of Time, make sure you watch the video Ocarina of Time, a masterclass in subtext by Goodblood. I'll link it in the description below. It's really good. It's an amazing video, and I would suggest anybody that's a fan of any Zelda games should check that out. This dude does a really cool deep dive into the writing behind Ocarina of Time, and it's really interesting. Yeah, and he does a way better job of describing the despair of that game than me. Plus, honestly, it's one of the best videos on YouTube in my opinion. Dark Souls along with Ocarina are both some of the best games ever made. At least that would be my answer if anyone ever cared to ask me what some of my favorite games were, but unfortunately nobody ever did ask me, so now you people, at least the entire 9 people that watch my videos, are stuck here with me in my little thought prison, listening to me babble incoherently about video games. Time for a complimentary jewel rip. In closing, Ocarina teaches us about the importance of childhood and friendship, fulfilling promises, and also working as a team to accomplish greater tasks. As depressing as that game is in the latter half, it still teaches us valuable lessons that can be used in everyday life. It really did teach me a lot as a kid, and I'm super grateful for the creators for even making this game. It changed my life, and it really got me into video games. Like I said earlier, that week I stayed home from school and beat the entire game. It was like one of the best weeks of my life, and I don't know, I miss that about being a kid and playing games, and that's another thing that Dark Souls brought back for me, at least, is like the sense of accomplishment I would get after I finished a boss. Like, it brought me back to being a little kid. And the creators and the things they were able to create with these games, it really did teach me some serious life lessons way before I would actually need to use them, but still valuable nonetheless. I mean, it taught me about loyalty and friendship and just the tasks that haunt our everyday life, but you don't know that as a kid. You only realize that when you get older of how important these things actually were. Now, Dark Souls, on the other hand, is a little more subtle and discreet with its teachings, and like I said earlier, Dark Souls is a game about not giving up. And boy, is that an easy fucking game to give up on, trust me. I mean, shit, I gave up on the first time I even played it, and it wasn't until like 2 months later after watching a Vada video that's a weird thing to say super fast, Vada video, that I was really convinced that it was worth another shot. After watching that, I jumped back into it and was able to play again. And man, am I really glad that I actually picked it up again. Dark Souls has so much more to offer if you decide to push through till the end. Usually, the best things in life are the things you have to work your ass off for, like your first apartment, your first car, your first house, etc. Dark Souls is a stunningly beautiful game, and it's really worth it. And I feel like that's the biggest lesson that it has to teach people, is that it's so worth it. Just like so many other things in life that are so hard, but so worth it once you get past. Like, you don't see when you're struggling in those hard times how worth it it's going to be at the end. It's only when you're finished that you look back in retrospect and realize how glad you were that you pushed through to the very end. Well, that's the end of the video, everybody, and if you liked the video, please make sure to like and subscribe right now, or I'll come through the screen and punch you in the throat. I'm just kidding, kinda. I mean, not really though. If you happen to enjoy this video, make sure to check out my other videos. I'll have them popped up here and, there in the corner of the screens, wherever the fuck they are. Till next time, guys, take care of yourself, stay safe, and don't you dare go hollow.